Made the rising moon go back behind the shouldering hill. I raced along the eastern track till time itself stood still. The stars swarmed on behind the trees, but I sped fast that day. I could have made the sun arise and night turn back to day. And like a long black carpet behind the wheels, the night unrolled across the countryside, but all ahead was bright. The fence post whizzed along wires like days that fly too fast, and telephone poles loomed up like years and slipped into the past. And light and movement, sky and road, and life and time were one. While through the night I rushed and sped, I drove towards the sun. Nancy Fotheringham Cato was an early 20th century Australian poet, known for her vivid depictions of the Australian landscape, paired with introspection and reflections on identity. The road captures the speaker's exhilarating drive through the night, where the speed creates the illusion of power over natural forces, making the rising moon go back and time itself seem to stop. Cato writes the road with a thrilling atmosphere, as the long black carpet of night chases the speaker down a road that represents her life. She uses simile throughout the poem to create comprehensible symbols for life and for death. The imagery Cato uses of a black carpet chasing the speaker down shows that if we do not run with all of our effort, or if we do not make the most of our lives, we risk falling victim to death. As such, Cato declares that we must rush and speed towards the sun, which also acts as a connection to the symbol of death, where one goes into the light. Only in this case, Cato demands that we confront death. In the poem, death serves not as an obstacle, but rather as a conclusion to a life well lived. Nancy Fotheringham Cato also presents another theme, where someone who tries to accomplish too much risks experiencing days that fly too fast. The imagery of telephone poles fading in and out of view, paired with the simile of looming up like years, and the fact that life and time had both become one, alludes to a deeper lack of depth and clarity in the speaker's life, as the years speed on by and the outside world becomes incomprehensible. The road resonates with me deeply because for a long time, I felt that while I wasn't dead, I wasn't truly alive either. I think back to the moments on my mountain bike team, to when I wouldn't train because I knew I would lose the races, to when I wouldn't study for physics and inevitably fail my tests, to when I stopped working out because I didn't see any progress immediately. I felt like George Gray, like a boat that had never left the harbor, rocking aimlessly mere meters away from the shore. I was so aware of how much it would hurt to lose that I never tried to find out what it felt like to struggle or succeed. I had stopped my car in its tracks as the long black carpet grew closer and closer. When I first read this poem in my literature class, I was deep in my feelings of regret and failure. I made the hopeful view of life that Nancy Fotheringham Cato presents in the final stanza, where she creates a beautiful picture of the sun and its light illuminating the path to a fulfilling life, into an example for how I should live my own. I find that the road offers advice on how to balance risks and the appreciation of the unnoticed details in life as I strive to live my life to the fullest. I can study all night for a test. I can trade as hard as I can for my races, and I can work out as hard as I can, even if it means I can fail the test, or lose the race, or be tired the next day. I need to try, even if I fail miserably, for if I never fail, how can I ever grow? The Road is my favorite poem because it made me realize that I had become physically comfortable with my goals, but mentally, I knew that I wasn't striving for growth, but rather settling for average. Reading The Road made me realize that my comfort was just a way for me to avoid the fear associated with taking risks, and that in order to feel alive, I needed to drive towards the sun. I made the rising moon go back behind the shouldering hill. I raced along the eastern track till time itself stood still. The stars swarmed on behind the trees, but I sped fast that day. I could have made the sun arise and night turn back to day. And like a long black carpet, behind the wheels the night unrolled across the countryside, but all ahead was bright. The fence post whizzed along wires like days that fly too fast, and telephone poles loomed up like years and slipped into the past. And light and movement, sky and road, and life and time were one, while through the night I rushed and sped, I drove towards the sun.